How is a star made is a simple question. Just add dust and gas to the space and let gravity do its job. A rather tasteless answer to such creation. But 2 men on Earth said otherwise. Stars must be made out of tires. To be more exact, stars, food, and tires. Edward Michelin and Andre Michelin were the ones who pioneered the Michelin star system. They were the owners of Michelin Company, a tire manufacturer. At first, food and tire sound like a mismatch of ideas, a random regurgitation that comes from a child's mouth. In practice, however, they wanted people to visit renowned restaurants from afar so that car sales would rise and your tires would wear out. An elaborate sales tactic, and its intention was even embedded into the system. A 3-star restaurant was given the name Exceptional Cuisine, worth a special journey. 100 years later, the Michelin became the largest tire manufacturer in the world. Only no one would have thought it was warfare that facilitated car manufacturing, a thing that causes famine. And in August of 1945, the joyous moment that signaled the beginning of an end, a guest from Tibet traveled a long way and had a great feast, truly reclaiming the symbol of tire to gourmet and not bloodshed. The female Tibetan bear attacked the 59-year-old man, Anton, in a zoo, marking the one and only time when a bear was let loose and feasted in the city of Chicago.
You didn't say corner. You didn't say corner.
The Beer is an ongoing series about dusting condiment on a hot gas stove and letting the whole kitchen fall apart by an argument. It's Hell's Kitchen with no live audience, a fictional small failing restaurant that locates in Chicago. It is on the surface a success story, an attempt to depict characters who have numerous flaws trying to bring themselves together and work in the chaotic culinary world. It tries to faithfully show how difficult it is to work in the catering industry and features a lot of actual running restaurants in Chicago, a lot of which are rewarded with Michelin stars. It has a gripping story. Whatever happened in episode 7 of season 2 is nothing less than amazing. Overall, it's a great and enjoyable experience to watch, which might sound a bit sadistic because we constantly see how the main protagonist, Kami, suffers. He was traumatized and bullied by his previous boss. His former boss gaslights Kami to think that it is his harsh word that makes Kami a better chef. When it comes to his personal life, his dysfunctional family turns a family reunion into a car crash. And his brother left the world, leaving $300,000 of debt behind. But Kami never let go of cooking because of those misfortunes. He tries to introduce a new system to the kitchen, inventing new menus and renovating the restaurant. He's making the whole place fancier to make this place work. He has a goal in mind.
We're gonna get a star.
In any normal circumstances, his road to success would be the main focus. But as I was watching season 3, something else caught my attention. A lot of food gets wasted because it doesn't fit the standard, so no one has the chance to eat it. Then, the idea of no one is eating popped into my mind. So I started to take notes and try to write down how many times we have scenes where we see a customer eating the food. The final answer is not 50, it's not 10, it's not even 1. Throughout the whole season of season 3, there's zero direct clear shot showing the customer actually eating. I realized this is a show about cooking where no one is actually eating. And then I recalled to myself, I too had this hectic experience of constantly cooking with no customer in sight. I too try to collaborate with others to create a functional kitchen. It was my experience playing Overcooked. I was at my friend's house at that time. With only one computer, we decided to play it. It's a chaotic, cooperative cooking game that challenges players to prepare and serve dishes in a series of madcap kitchens. Its enjoyment lies in seamless teamwork and quick thinking. Players often create this unpredictable culinary chaos. It's a game where you can cook on moving trucks, floating iceberg, or in space. It's cooking for the sake of cooking, because who would be eating inside a volcano? The beer, however, tries to set place in the real world of Chicago. There's a part of the story where the landmark, the faceless statue of Ceres, is being used as a subtext for describing characters' journey. Characters are living people who are tied to this city. So it is strange that after 3 seasons, there are still no characters acting as returning local customers. Everyone is either a chef or a frontline worker. The beer as a restaurant has no connection to the neighborhood of Chicago. But this was not always the case. In season 1, the very first episode, you actually see the restaurant was trying to hold a local event for people to come and eat. Richie in season 1 despises the new kitchen recipe because he knows what his old customers like. And for a show about cooking, he somehow touched upon the topic of gang violence, giving us a glimpse into the community surrounding the restaurant. However, as the restaurant tries to become more and more exquisite, fewer and fewer scenes like this occur. In return, the restaurant is gentrified, creating food not for the community, but to isolate the community. We can see this affecting real-life audience. For all the exquisite meal that the beer has created, how many signature dishes can you actually name? It's no wonder why the one dish that people talk about comes from the Italian sandwich from season 1. It's the one that most common folk can actually taste and recognize. Moreover, it's shown on multiple occasions that other restaurants are financially struggling, yet the beer is trying to gain more customers. If your local industry is not doing well, that means people from your local area are unwilling to consume product from that sector. How is it then possible to jack up the meal price and still survive? The answer is not food quality. The answer has always been clearly written on the star. Exceptional cuisine worth a special journey. It means that good food is always far away. Your loyal customers will no longer be people in your neighborhood. Understand this, then you will understand the underlying contradictions of running the beer. This is the reason why it made news in 2016 when 2 street food stores from Singapore were rewarded with a Michelin star. After 100+ years of Michelin Guide, that was the first time ever any street food got rewarded with a star. And its lunch meal just cost $2 Singaporean, breaking the perceptions of what good food should be. No amount of stargazing can change the motto of being down to earth. And what is the point in cooking if there's no fun? I still vividly remember the time I played Overcooked with my friend. It was a lot of button smashing and kitchen fire. The ice was slippery, and characters were always a bit too clumsy. Knowing how to get the hang of it was the fun part. It's a game that should allow mistakes, but somewhere down the line, my gaming experience changed. You see, at the end of each level, Overcooked would rate our performance. The rating system that you used was a 3-star system. And as we play along, my friend suggested that we should replay the levels. Thus, we started to get stuck on different levels over and over. The slippery ice turned from a fun mechanic to a true obstacle. Clumsy characters became inefficient and brought me down. A fun party game turned into a perfectionist checklist. It was quite frankly no longer fun to play. And the thing was, he never said why he wanted to replay. I could tell from his eyes.
We're gonna get a star.
This is my story of chasing Michelin stars. It's not a fun one. It's not even a real-life kitchen, unlike some other stories. I didn't cope with a traumatized experience and failing relationships, so I can't even imagine a character cooking in spite of that. I can't imagine what's the motivation behind going through such tortures when it's not even fun. What's the point of cooking if you can't even see people enjoying your food? Out of the 3 seasons, none are memorable because of Kami's smile. Perhaps this is the destiny of using a car to chase a star. A journey that drifts in an empty space, for car is not meant for space. With all the tears and pain to create all the food that has been made, none can emotionally escape beyond the kitchen. We sense no trace of sweat or bitterness when it enters our palate. Eating is the habit of all habit, the first primal addiction. It's so good that even watching others eat can be infectious. The term mukbang originated from Korea, describes the trend of broadcasting someone eating in front of audience while he or she tries to talk with his or her fans. I myself am not into mukbang, though I've seen other media depicting characters eating as part of the storyline. Kodoku No Gourmet is an ongoing Japanese TV series that has been running for more than 12 years, spanning over 9 seasons. It's a series that was adopted from the manga under the same name. The plot is very simple. Our main character, Goro Inogashira, is a middle-aged man who works alone with no colleague. The nature of his job forces him to always travel around to meet his clients. Then, usually after his meeting, he will find a place to eat. And that's the story. There's no character and plot development. Just find a place to eat and call it a day. It's just a comfort show to see a person enjoying his meal. Coincidentally, just like the bear, Kodoku No Gourmet features real restaurant in the show. Every food that you see can be ordered in real life. There's even a little segment where the original manga author, Kusumi Masayuki, is invited to taste the food in the same restaurant that Goro went to. I love this restaurant is nothing fancy, just a random place that happens to be nearby. And the restaurants that Goro enters always have this human touch. People will recommend to him the best way to eat certain dishes, or tell him what are some hidden menus. And while he is eating, he will always have this internal monologue about the atmosphere or the people. The core idea of the show tries to illustrate mealtime is the time of the day when we have the most amount of freedom to be alone. The time when we can get unbothered by others to enjoy ourselves. A harmless statement about eating good food. So what if we dive deeper into how the story utilizes its core idea? It is true that there's basically no plot progression. However, every now and then, Goro will have some random flashback mentioning people who were close to him, like his ex-girlfriend or his deceased father. The appearances don't affect anything, like a random backstory and extra information that if you want, you can know about. It's certainly an odd choice of narrative. To add more oddity, we need to talk about Goro's social circle. It is shown that Goro actually knows quite a lot of people. The reason why he can maintain his business is because some of his customers are his old friends. So it shouldn't sound bizarre to suggest an episode when Goro eats with his friends. And yet, out of all the TV episodes and manga volumes that I've seen, none try to depict him eating with his friends, let alone family. As a matter of fact, whenever he enters a restaurant, the owners, the waiters, and people around him are usually very friendly. Yet, his ability to make friends only comes when he is outside a restaurant. No amount of small talk in the restaurant can make a side character reoccur. Moreover, Goro always enjoys his food. He makes sure to leave nothing on the table. But no matter how good the food is, or how he says he will return one day, he never does. To comprehend why all this happened, I think a direct quote from the manga can help. When we have a meal, we want to eat freely, without interruptions. We want to feel relaxed. We want to be alone somewhere quiet and comfortable. This means eating is only relaxing when there is solitude. Freedom only means being free from others, and a place of comfort must be a quiet one. In other words, the show Kodoku No Gourmet is about a person who eats with self-isolation. It's a story where the diner refuses to connect with the community. A reverse of the bear. I myself is not into mukbang, the trend of broadcasting someone eating and talking in front of audience. Though it is still interesting to know the reason why mukbang is popular. Some studies suggested that it's because there are widespread feeling of anxiety, loneliness, and unhappiness in Korea. It goes the same for Kodoku No Gourmet. It's a manga that was made in the 90s. It's the manga of mukbang before mukbang was even a thing. And it was published a few years after the burst of the Japanese economic bubble. It's a story that praises isolations as freedom. With a story like this, of course your aches and deceased father will reappear. In other words, eating is the most primal addictions. And people are addicts who think being more addicted can solve addictions. It's a phenomenon that doesn't come as a surprise. After all, Japan is the only country that I know where the ramen chain store Ichiran patented the design of solo dining. You can order food without ever seeing a single waiter. A patent on loneliness. It's the quintessential example of hedgehog dilemma from Schopenhauer. It compares people to hedgehogs, animals who desire warmth and connections in winter, but risk hurting others when they get too close. It's frankly quite ironic when Goro says, eating alone is the best, freest moment, because in Asia, you're supposed to share a meal and dine with your family. Therefore, it's a motto that can only come from someone who had lost his family. Then again, Goro's isolations and his philosophy on food is no big secret. After all, the title Kodoku no Gourmet has another name, the solitary gourmet. The Chef of South Polar is a 2009 Japanese movie. It is adapted from the real-life experience of Nishimura Jun, a chef who worked in Antarctica. It took place in the year 1997, when the internet was barely a thing. He and his crew stationed in Dome Fuji, a research center which is 1,000 kilometers away from shore. The average temperature is around negative 54 degrees Celsius. Even virus cannot survive. Its altitude is roughly 3,800 meters, slightly taller than Mount Fuji. Look out and we will see the sky pour in snow with a broken sifter. Under this dark cold world, we see a group of men frantically catching a loose member. When he has been caught, they hug with warmth. A short and touching encouragement is given. Then the man with blue down jacket utters his deepest desire. Let's play mahjong. There's not much to do in a place where water is older than your country. Their daily routine include exercise, eating, and the cold. It is so cold that even foods get frozen halfway through delivery. In a barren place like this, there's nothing happier than the announcement of mealtime. Jun originally didn't have to come. He has a daughter and a newborn baby at home. However, due to a misfortunate event, he was chosen to embark on this expedition as a chef. Everyone who comes sacrifices a little. For some, it is their relationship. For others, it is the chance to celebrate their birthday with family. In one of the scenes, a group of children has the chance to interview them. A curious kid asks, "Are there any penguins?" The team replies, "The station is so far removed that even penguins will freeze to death." So the kids ask, "Are there any seals?" The team reply, "There are no seals." "Then, what is there in that place?" the kid asks. With a few seconds of silence, they reply, "Us. We are here." When it is the next kid's turn, she asks, "What do they eat normally?" So June took the turn to answer. She asked a lot of questions, like, is it tough to make meals for 8 people? Do they feel lonely? The kid's name is Yuka. She has the same name as June's daughter, because she is his daughter. He is too far gone to even recognize her voice. His wife became the only one who take care of the family. Interestingly, when June was still at home, it would be his wife who cooked, and she was not a good cook. Her most memorable dish is fried chicken. The duty of a chef in South Pole is more than just providing basic needs. It can be spiritual guidance. Eating can be turned into an event. Guests can help to cope with fun and laughter. Everyone who dines at the same table shares the same adventures. People form bonds when there is lack of a city or community. They recreate their shared custom and longing for the same home. And when his team decides to cook for themselves, a dish of fried chicken reappears. This is a story about a man who cooks for himself and others, sharing joy with food, making friends with food in one of the most isolated places on earth. I might not be at South Pole, but I am on the internet. Hope you too have a great meal.
うまっ